All right. March 20th. It's now 8:50 a.m. Here we go. I guess I'm just going to give you the latest figures for what's going on with COVID-19. In the United States, as of earlier this morning, about 3:20 Greenwich time, which I think is 8 hours ahead of us. So yeah, just essentially these are the most current figures. We've got nationwide in the United States, we're up to 14,549 confirmed cases of coronavirus, and the number of deaths, which was at only 97 when I reported figures yesterday, has risen to 218, over double. This There's a number of reasons why the figures could be spiking so much. The more testing occurs, the more cases that had been missed before are being now identified. And I expect we can continue seeing spikes and rapid increases in figures as time goes on. Bringing things a little closer to home, in the state of Washington, the total number of cases as of March 19th at 3 p.m., so yesterday afternoon, the total number of cases in Washington state is 1,376, and we're sitting at 74 fatalities. Here in my home county, Pierce County, the total number of confirmed cases is now at 75, and we have now experienced in Pierce County our first fatality as a result of COVID-19. A grim milestone, definitely. That's the latest information. Well, there's continuous action within our state and federal governments in response to what's going on. Just as I was getting ready to go live with this broadcast, a close friend of mine, someone whom I look at like a little sister, she called me up asking what I knew about the order to stay at home. I had not seen anything for the state of Washington, but there is such an order that's just gone into effect in California, and it is because of her phone call to me that I felt compelled to go find out as much as I could about it. So, this is from thehill.com. California Governor Gavin Newsom issued an order for all 40 million Californians to stay at home Thursday night due to coronavirus outbreak. The order issued by the governor is the first statewide restriction placed on all Californians to stem the spread of the disease. Quote, "This is not a permanent state. This is a moment in time," end quote, Newsom said in a news conference. He continues, "We will look back at these decisions as pivotal," end quote. The directive goes into effect Thursday evening. Those found violating the law could be fined up to $1,000. Could be fined up to $1,000. The order says several critical infrastructure sectors will still be allowed to leave their homes, though it didn't specifically mention which ones. Citizens are still allowed to leave their homes to visit grocery stores or pharmacies, but at all times must practice social distancing. Similar orders have been put in place at the local level in San Francisco and other parts of the Bay Area since Monday. Thursday night, shortly before the announcement from the governor, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti and officials from Los Angeles County ordered that its residents stay in their homes as much as possible, and many non-essential businesses were directed to close. Earlier on Thursday, Newsom said officials were projecting that 56% of California's population would be infected with the virus over an 8-week period if the crisis went unmitigated. California has been one of the states hit hardest by COVID-19, along with New York and Washington state. More than 900 people have been infected with the virus in California, and at least 19 people have died. In the United States, there are more than 1,100 confirmed cases and more than 150 deaths. This was updated as of 10:43 p.m. last night. I think it's worth pointing out that California is among the hardest hit states, but they, with their enormous population, haven't hit as many cases as we here in the state of Washington have hit. I have those figures here. They're close, though. The state with the most cases remains New York State by a significant margin. Looks like New York State has 5,715 cases as of right now and a total of 38 deaths. Interestingly, however, Washington, which is in second place for the number of cases, has nearly double the amount of deaths. So of all states, Washington has the most fatalities, even though we have quite a few less confirmed cases, nearly maybe 3,500 to 4,000 less cases in Washington than New York has, and yet we have nearly double the number of fatalities that they do. Again, Washington state is reporting the most fatalities from coronavirus of any state. Now, I can further break this down by county. King County remains the county which is affected worst. They are reporting 693 cases and 60 fatalities. I think when I reported figures yesterday, King County was at 562. As of 3 p.m. yesterday afternoon, they were up to 693 and 60 fatalities. That's up from 56. Well, it looks like in terms of federal financial relief, there has been some progress made in that sector. I believe I read an article earlier that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has introduced legislation, and the figures I'm seeing are that every American citizen who is making less than $100,000 is going to receive $1,200 directly to them in the form of a check or maybe direct deposit to bank accounts. I'm sure they haven't figured the logistics out yet. I understand that married couples will be receiving $2,400 if they fall within the same income bracket. And then there are additional funds being provided for families with children. The more money that a person makes, if they're making above $100,000, I don't think they would receive anything. I don't know the exact figures, and I do know that this is still being debated. I understand Senator Schumer to be not sold on the particulars of Senator McConnell's legislation, saying that the money being distributed might get a family's rent and bills paid for a month, but what happens after that? So certainly the leadership within Congress is taking the long view, as in what happens after a month. With respect to my personal situation, I have yet to receive any further updates from the management of our company to tell us when things might be getting back to normal. I do know that even the stores which have not closed are adjusting their hours, where we are receiving communiques directly from the top company-wide to indicate the action that Guitar Center is taking to contribute to our fight against this, to stop the spread of it and to keep everyone safe. It's pretty startling. For myself, this is my 4th day not being able to go into work. And it's beginning to become impossible to ignore certain basic questions. I have a little bit of money saved. I have a little bit more money coming in. But there is most certainly an end in sight. Bills are going to need to be paid. Money is not going to last forever. Everything is still very much open-ended. I've taken the opportunity to go out exploring as much as I could, as I've mentioned in my previous broadcasts. Yesterday, I left home with a good friend of mine and drove out to the Kitsap Peninsula, where my friend's parents are staying. We went fishing. We went fishing in the area of Hood Canal. We explored on foot many rivers, many lakes. Found a spot from which I could see up close the Olympic Mountains. This is by far the closest to that mountain range that I have been in nearly 7 years of living in Washington State, and it's just beautiful. The mountains out there look completely different from the mountains to the east in the Cascades. They are a really distinctive mountain range, and so I was as close to them as I've ever been. I had my binoculars to look at them up close, and the views and the beauty of it were just breathtaking, especially given the weather conditions yesterday. On the way home, we had occasion to see the sunset. We actually pulled off the highway just in time to watch the sunset behind the Olympic Mountains, and I have pictures of it that I took on my iPhone, which I'm going to post to my Facebook page later today. And I woke up early enough this morning that I had just enough time to jump into my vehicle and drive down to a spot on Tacoma Avenue South near downtown and watch the sun rise the moment that it crested over the Cascades. Mount Rainier's silhouette was off to the right. And I forgot to mention yesterday that yesterday was the equinox. Spring has officially begun. And from today forward, we will have more hours of daylight than of night. So, that was just something to do. I think there's a possibility I'm going to be meeting with my band members this evening at 7. I don't know if we're planning to broadcast anything. We will let you know if the decision is made to do so. Band news, the final mix of our new record, which is entitled The Emperor of the Sun, has been transmitted off to a studio in my hometown of Omaha, Nebraska, to be mastered by Doug Van Sloan. I've worked with Doug before. He mastered a single for me, I think, in 2004, very late 2004, or maybe the very beginning of 2005. And 3 years after that, he mastered an entire EP for a band I was working with. So now, 12 years later, he's mastering yet another of my records, and I'm looking forward to hearing what he does with that. And luckily, everything was transmitted electronically, which means as soon as he's finished with it, we will instantaneously receive the masters when they're done. What we're going to do with it at that point largely depends on the situation on the ground with respect to this whole virus. We could distribute it via several online mediums. We're going to be ordering physical copies, CDs. At some point in the future, there is talk of doing vinyl, but we haven't made any solid decisions on that yet. So we're keeping our eyes on our project, on our deadlines, on our product. And we're excited to share that with as many people as possible. Lord knows we've got enough time to work on this. I look forward to seeing my band members tonight. That's about all I've got today. I don't really have much else I can I can vamp about just now. And anyhow, there's a broadcast that I want to listen to beginning any moment now. So, with that update, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the day. Looks like I'm at exactly 15 minutes of broadcast time right now. So I'm going to leave it there, and we're going to just continue grinding forward. And I wish everybody the best. Everyone, stay calm, be active, be safe, be good to each other.